Hey, what's up? In this video, I would like to show you how you can create a polysymmetrical design using cool colors. So I'm in Google Drawing. So what we're going to do is change our canvas size, and we're also going to add rulers, and we're going to add guidelines just to get started. So I'm going up to where it says View, and I'm coming down to where the rulers are. I'm going to click Show Rulers. So now I have rulers at the top and the side. Now I'm going back to View. I'm going down to Guides, and I'm going to click on Show Guides if I don't have them showing already. So now I have it set up like this. And then the next part is I'm going to adjust my guides so that my canvas size is going to be 6 by 6. So I'm going to come into 6 inches there, and I'm going to take this one down to 6 inches. Now that I have this selected, I'm going to divide the square that I'm going to use for my canvas in half in a minute, but I'm going to grab on the side here. I'm going to adjust my canvas size so that it lines up with those lines right there, like so. Okay, so this is my canvas size at 6 by 6. So the next step is to grab some guidelines again. So I'm just going up to where the ruler is. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag down a guideline. I'm going to line it up on 3 inches so I can split my canvas in half. And then I'm going to grab one from the left side. I'm going to bring that in and line it up on 3 inches also. So now I have this selected. So to create my polysymmetrical design, I only have to make a design for one quarter. So I'm going to work with this quarter up here, especially since I'm recording and it has, this is kind of messy down here. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab some shapes, and I'm just going to fill this up in a way that I think would be kind of cool. So I'm going to come up here to shapes. You can grab any shapes you want. I'm going to start by grabbing a triangle shape right here, and I'm just going to pull one out. And then I'm thinking about rotating this about 45%. I don't know how, this might take a little time to do so, but I am just going to see if I can match that up in the corners right there. And my goal is to match it up from these, that my corners match up on the guidelines right here, and then I'm going to pull this one out all the way to the corner. So I'm grabbing hold of the blue square right there, and now I'm going to grab a hold of the yellow line right there and see if I can match it up on that corner. And I want to do my best to match it up as well as I can, since this is a polysymmetrical design. And let me see if I can move it over just a little bit more right there. And that's pretty good. So if you're having problems lining it up like this and it keeps snapping to something else and you don't know what's going on, what you can do is go to View again, and then we're going down to where it says Snap To, and you might have Snap To Grid on or Snap To Guides on. So I do have Snap To Guides on right now, and I'm going to keep it for right now, and if I have any problems, I might turn this off. So now that I have this shape selected, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to change the color of it. I'm going up to the fill color, and I'm going over to gradient, and I think I'm going to choose this blue right here. And the next step is I want to get rid of that black outline, so I'm going over to the border color right here, and I'm going to choose transparent instead. So I got that shape drawn out, and then the next one is I'm going to create another triangle. This time I'm just going to click on the triangle I already have. I'm going to hold down the control button if you're on a PC, command button if you're on an Apple device. So I'm on an Apple device. I'm going to hold down command, and then I'm going to press the letter D. And now I made another design. This time I'm going to make it a little bit more skinny. And I'm going to line it up on that corner again, and I'm just going to pull this one down so it aligns down here, and I might have to play around with it a little bit. So I think I need to make this one wider on this side, and I'm still going to pull this one down a little bit. Like so. And if I want to change the color of this, I see I need to line this back up again, so I'm going to bring it up in the corner. There we go. I could keep it like this if I want, but I'm going to change the color. I'm coming up to the fill color. I'm on gradient still, and I think I'm going to choose this purple right here and keep that drawing kind of similar to that, I guess. And if I'd like, I think I'm going to make this a little bit more thin. So I'm just going to bring it a little bit on the sides here. And I might have to match it up with the corners again. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, like so. And I really want to match it up the best I can on those corners. So this one seems a little bit, I need to bring it down a little bit more. And I just went over a tad bit on this side, so I'm going to take it back up a little bit, like so. That didn't work out quite right, so I'm going to do that again. So there we go. I got that one. Okay, so the next step is to add some more shapes. Notice how I haven't changed the background color yet. I will do that after I finish my designs. So since I'm using cool colors, I'm sticking with blues, purples, and greens. And I think what I'm going to do now is play around with some rectangular shapes. So I'm going up to here. I'm going to create a rectangle on the side. I'm just going to take one from the top and pull it down. Make sure I get it aligned the way I want. And I'm going to make it the thickness that I want to. So I think I want to keep it a little bit more on the thin side, like so. And I'm going to change the color right now. So I'm going up to the gradient tool again. This time I might want to change the colors a little bit. So I'm going back to gradient and I'm coming down to custom. And on this side, I think I'm going to choose a purplish color. And on this side over here, I might choose a little bit of a lighter blue color. And then I'm going to click on it like that. And I like that. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this by holding down Command D or Control D. And I'm going to move it over here, line it up. And I want to take the lines. No, I'm going to keep the lines on this one. I think that's okay. So I'm going to keep the lines on. And then the next step is I want to grab both of these and I'm going to group them by going to Arrange, going down to Group. So now they're selected and they're grouped. And if I hit Control D or Command D, I can make another copy. And I accidentally moved my guideline from right there, so I'm just going up to Undo. And then I'm going to grab those extra lines. And I'm going to flip these. So I'm going to Arrange and going down to Rotate. And it doesn't matter if I choose Rotate clockwise or counterclockwise since it's symmetrical on both sides. Now I'm going to bring it up near the top. And see if I can kind of match that up like I did over here. I might want to bring this one over a tad bit and maybe a little bit farther back here. Okay, so I like that. And now if I want to have fun with some of these coming in front or going behind, all I'm going to do, I'm going to try this and see if it works first, is I am going to click on the inside one right here. And I'm going to click, and then I'm going to see if I can click on Arrange and go to Order. So going to Order means that you have like pretend like you have a stack of papers and you want to have one paper on the bottom, you have one on top, and then you have a whole bunch in between. That's what's happening with every shape that we create. So if you go to bring to the front, it's automatically going to bring it right to the front, like so. So both of these came to the front. But if I wanted to, I could go bring forward. But just know that you have to play around with it, and it's about placing them in order in between. So I brought this one to the front, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and ungroup it, and I'm going to take this one on the right side, and I'm going to see if I can send that one to the back. So I sent that one to the back, and that's not quite what I wanted. And these were still grouped, so I'm just going to go back and undo. And now I'm going back to Arrange, and I'm going down to, for some reason, it doesn't want me to ungroup. So, oh, okay, they're already ungrouped. Okay, so I'm going to grab the one from the right, and this time I'm going to send this one all the way back. You know, you can play around with this. And so I have a look that looks like so. These two right here, I'm going to grab the front, the shape on the top and the one underneath, and I'm going to group these. And then I'm going to arrange them and send them to the back so that they're behind everything. So I kind of like that look. I would like to do a little bit more right in here. So I think I'm going to click on this one here in front. I have to ungroup them first. And then I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to bring it to the front by going to arrange, order, and bring to front. So yeah, I like that. I like it to kind of look like a weaving effect right here. So that looks pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is play around with some more shapes. So I'm going up to our shapes again right here, and I'm going to choose this rectangle shape like so, and I'm going to pull out a rectangle. Now if I want it to be a symmetrical square that's even, or if I want to make it a square that's even on all sides, I'm going to hold down the shift key when I pull this out, and you can see it makes it more of a, it makes it into a square. So if I want to make these lines a little thinner, I'm going to drag them towards the inner corner there, and that's pretty good, but I think I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. And I'm holding down the shift key again. I'm going to make this shape a little bit larger, like so. And then I'm going to see if I can make that look about the same distance from each edge here. And I'm going to change the color of this one. So I'm getting rid of the outline by clicking transparent on the border color. Then I'm going to the fill color and I'm going to gradient, and I'm going to choose one of the linear colors over here. This time I think I'll go with a darker blue like so. And I think I'm still going to make this a little bit thinner. I didn't want that to be quite as big. And I kind of like that. So I'm going to keep that shape like that for right now. Now I'm going back to my shapes, and I'm going to play around with the shapes again. So I'm here. This time I'm going to grab this tool. I'm just going to pull something out like so. I'm going to flip it. So I'm going up here to arrange. I'm going to rotate, and then I'm going to flip it horizontally. And just like we did with the last tool, we can grab a hold of these corners, and I'm going to make it quite a bit thinner and bring it in on this side and do the same thing on this side over here and try to keep about the same distance. So you can always come back and play around with these as you're creating your design. So that looks pretty good, but this does not look square on both sides. So I am going to see if I can pull onto the side here and see if I can make it more square. I'm holding down the shift key, but I think I'd have to create this design from the beginning again to make it completely square. I'm not going to worry about that on this one. I could redo this if I wanted to. I do want to make this a little bit thinner though, like so. And I think it will just be more of a rectangular shape here. So I'm going to get rid of the outline by going to border color and choosing transparent. And then I'm going to change the color of this one. This time I think I'll just stick with one straight color, and I'll choose this light blue. And I'm going to bring it so that it matches up on this corner right here and this one down here. And then I see that I might want to bring this one down a little bit more. I could use guidelines to do this, but I'm just going to eye it. Okay, so I got that there. Now let's say that you would like this to interlock with the shape that we created back here. So one thing we could do is, this is kind of a darkish blue right here. I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I think I'm going to play around with this shape. So I'm going to click on my light blue. And because I just created this one, I can go to arrange and I'm just going to send it backwards once and see if, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Now I'm going to make another little rectangular shape and cover up one side here. So I'm going to my shapes. I'm going to choose rectangle and I'm going to do my best to kind of fill in the spot right here. It might take a little tweaking to do so. I'm going to change the color to the light blue. And I'm going to get rid of that outline by clicking on it again. And going to the border color and changing it to transparent. So that looks pretty good for right now. So I have those shapes. Now, here's the fun part. I'm going to add some hearts, and I will also use these hearts to help me line up my polysymmetrical design once I group it all together and I start to copy this part and flip it and rotate it to the other 3 sections. So what I'm going to do is go to the shapes tool. I'm going to find the heart tool down here. And I'm going to play around with the shapes right here. So I'm just going to pull one out, maybe make it a little bit less like so. I'm going to turn it on the side right here. And I'm going to align it this way. So one thing I can do just to help me align it better is I'm actually going to come over here to select a line. I'm going to go from here and I'm going to select one from this corner. And then I'm going to grab this side and I'm going to take it all the way up to the upper corner. So it helps me align my heart right here, like so. I will get rid of this in a minute. So now I'm going to bring my heart line over here. I see I need to move this over a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to bring the heart tool over here, line it right there. Let's see if I can turn it so that it matches up on that line better. So I still need to match up the bottom corner to the line and the top part on the line. And that's pretty good. I'm going to bring it down closer to the edge here so I can get rid of that corner. I don't want the corners to show on the side right there. I see that this one is just a tad bit, and I'm just going to slightly bring this in just a touch so that way it doesn't show on the sides there. Okay, awesome. So now I'm going to click this heart. I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to gradient again, and I think I'll choose the radial design shade here in the center. And I like that. So I'll keep that one. And then I am going to duplicate this by holding down Control or Command D. And I'm going to rotate it so it is more vertical. And I'm also going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to bring that down and cover up that edge right there, like so. And the one thing I forgot to do was to get rid of this black line. So I'm going to keep this one selected, go up to border color, choose transparent. I'm doing the same with this one down here, like so. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to select this one. I'm going to hit Command or Control D to duplicate it. And then I'm coming up to arrange. I'm going down to rotate, and I'm going to rotate it clockwise. And when I do so, I have my design facing this way. So now I'm going to line this up or align it up on this guideline right here. And I'm going to see about the space between here. I think I need to move it up just a little bit more. And maybe I will move this up a little bit more this way too. So you can still play around with these shapes and see what kind of design you want to come up with. And I see that since I created this guideline, that this one isn't matching up. So I'm actually going to bring this down a little bit and see if I can get that corner to match up on this guideline. And that's a little bit better. Maybe I went down a little too far. Let me go up it just a tad bit. And I'm going to bring this little part down too, like so. Okay, so there's that part of the design. Now I'm going to click on this one, duplicate it again, and I'm going to bring it into the center like so. And I'm going to change the colors a little bit. So I'm coming over to gradient and I'm going to custom. And I am going to choose a little bit darker color for this side. And I'm coming over to this one and I'm going to choose a darker color like so. And I'll see if I like that. And that looks pretty good. I'll keep that. And I'm going to do the same with these two. So when I go back to gradient, and I made a custom color, so it shows up right here. So all I have to do is click on it. I'm going to do the same up here. And then while I have this one selected, I'm going to duplicate it. Command D plus D or Control plus D. And I'm going to bring it down. And I want to see how I want to match these up over here on this side. And I might need to bring this one out a little bit so that way there's a little bit more space between. And I think I'm going to bring this one in just a tad bit more. Like so. And that looks pretty good. So that's it for my design. So I'm going to get rid of this line right here. And now I'm going to double click, or not double click, but I'm going to use 2 fingers at the same time and press down on the mouse or the launch pad. And then my dialog box pops up and I'm going to choose a color for the background. So I'm going to click background right here and I'm going to gradient. And I think I'm going to choose maybe this color right here. That isn't dark enough for what I want to accomplish. So I'm going back to go back to background and I'm going to custom and I'm going to make it a little bit darker over here. I like that color. This one was a little too bright. So I'm going to maybe darken it to that color right there. Click OK. And I like the way those items are standing out against one another. So that's awesome. So at this point, what I'm going to do is move my guidelines out of the way here. And I'm going to look down at my keyboard, hold down the control button or the command button, depending on which device you're on. And then I'm going to select A. So it's Control A for PC, for Apple devices, it's Command A. And then I selected all of these sections over here. So while I have this selected, I'm coming up here to arrange and I'm going to group it. So now that I have it grouped, I'm going to keep it selected, hold down the Command or Control key plus D, and I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to come to Arrange, go to Rotate, and flip it horizontally. And then I'm going to bring the design part over here and match it up on this side. Like so. And now I'm going to hold down my Shift key and I'm going to select the right side and the left side at the same time. And I'm not going to group it this time. I'm just going to flip it. So I'm coming up to Arrange and I'm going down to Rotate and I'm going to flip it vertically. And now I have another section that I'm going to bring down. Oops, I forgot to duplicate it. So I'm going to click Undo. And I'm going to hit Command plus D or Control plus D to duplicate it. Now I'm going to flip it vertically. There we go. So I'll bring this part down here, and now it's about matching it up. Okay, and I'm still looking to match it up a little bit here vertically. And if I end up, let me undo that because, okay, so I'm going to select both of those pieces together by holding down the shift key. Now I'm going to move it up a little bit. And so it'll have a little bit of a line. It didn't completely align. If I want to, I could play around with that a little bit more by just bringing everything up from the bottom, but I'm going to keep it like this for now. And now for the fun part. So we have our polysymmetrical design, and I'm going to pull out my window a little bit here. And the next step is we would like to add format options. Oh, and there was one thing that I always do, and I forgot to do that this time. You want to come up here and title your artwork. So I'm going to call this polysymmetrical design. And then I'm going to also place in front of this, whatever lesson this is. And I'm going to call this one lesson 4. Okay, so I have that. Now, if you can't see some of your other options up here, you might want to click on this triangle right here, which is your toggle. If you click it downward, you can see that more disappears. So I'm going to click it upward. And I am looking to see if I can find format options, but I think I need to select something on here first, and I do. And format options still aren't popping up right now. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to select all 4 of these parts by holding down the shift button. I'm selecting all of this. I'm going to group it. So I'm going to arrange and group my design. And then these 3 dots over here to the side, if you don't see format options, you're going to click on these, and then format options pops up here. So I'm going to select that. And while I have all of this selected, I'm going to drop shadow. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to keep it on black, but you could change the color and have fun with that too. And I'm going to play around with the distance a little bit. And you get to have fun making this really stand out like it's 3D. So this is just a really fun trick. And, I can play around with how much I want it to stand out. It can really stand out. You can turn it around to different angles. So just find the angle that you like. And I kind of like that right there. So I'm going to click on that. And so you see how these parts are really standing out. I may not want that. So what I'm going to do is just select this. This was the little piece I had inside. I'm going to see if I can just select on this. Okay, I can. So I just selected that one, even though everything's still grouped. And what I'm going to do is come over here and uncheck that drop box for that part. And that disappears a little bit. At least it's not standing out as much. So I'm going to click on this one over here and do the same thing. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. So, and I'm just going to kind of keep that as part of my design. I don't know why this one's standing out a little bit more, but there is no drop shadow on it. So the other thing would be is to come back in and put another little blue piece on top of those areas right now, and so it doesn't show. So I could do that real quick. I already have this part right here, right? I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to see if I can cover it up right there. And I can do that. That's an easy fix right there. And I just have to keep playing around with that. But we're almost done. So congratulations if you made it this far today. Awesome. Okay. And then I'm just going to duplicate this one again. And, I can make that a little bit better if I wanted to, but I'm just going to keep it like it is for right now. I'm going to duplicate this one by holding down Control D or Command D. And then I'm going to cover that one. And now I'm pretty much done with my design here. So I'm going to deselect it by clicking on the outside there, check everything out and see if I'm happy enough with it. For some reason, it's really dark over here, but this one didn't get a shadow down here. So I'm going to click this one so it goes sideways. I'm going to click it again, and then I'm going to see if I can add the shadow to this side right here too. And I might just have to play around with it a little bit. Try to get to match up the best that I know how. So that one went out quite a bit farther. Let me see about the angle here. And I think it was a little bit darker, so I'm just going to bring that in. And okay, so this one's a little bit different, but it looks a little different over here, so you can kind of play around with that too if you want the light to be angling a little bit differently, but I'm going to keep it like this for right now. And the last thing we want to do is make sure we save this in our Google Drive folder. So we're going to File, and we're going to select Move. If you haven't created a Google file folder, please see Lesson 1. This is the best way to be able to find your artwork quickly. So I'm in my Drive. I'm looking for my folder that I created in Lesson 1. And it's Google Drawing Art folder, and I'm going to select Move. And now it's showing up in my Google Drawing Art folder. I'm going to dismiss this, and that's it for this lesson. I wish you well. Have a great day. Until next time, bye-bye.